What makes the job so difficult or kind of challenging to get? What is it?
If you ask me about what makes me to choose consulting, is that's a type of forward thought you're asking me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. One is because of putting down 20 years of corporate experience and working with CEO's office closely, and with the knowledge whatever we have got gained and through academics and the whatever the sabbatical program we did, which enriched our knowledge over a period of time, we don't mind starting own and living up to our freedom and to enjoy our free space. In fact, in your formula, you said soft skills plus family and all. No, that equals to that equals was a matter for me. So that pushed me to pursue consulting. And the minute when I wanted to pursue consulting as a career, I quickly went through a deep dive in psychometric assessment to know about who I am, and what I'm good at. I did this assessment. The assessment was really evident that if I pursue in consulting, where my thoughts are, it will help me. So that was the cornerstone for me to pursue consulting.
Pawan, how about you?
Well, I'm still in corporate, so I can't say I've moved out and be an employee in it. But I can tell you why I choose being a consulting kind of career, at least. I would love to be in movies, right? Because the actors actually get to act a lot of things as a doctor, as a hero does a lot of things. He can be an advocate, he can be a lawyer. Sorry, both of them are same. He can be a doctor, he can be everything. Now, when I started my career, I actually wanted to go and meet so many people and be like them and be part of their process and story and then come back. So that's my kind of passion, which I actually found out in probably 6 to 7 years of my career. That's when I moved to IT. I was a banker myself. So then I realized this is where you actually go and talk to people. And then when I slowly started after 4 to 5 years in consulting, it's more that I stop talking and I start listening. And that's something which is very, very tough. And that's a challenging thing. Right? To listen for continuously for probably in an hour of a meeting, to listen 50 minutes, anybody can try it out. It's pretty difficult. So then the art of listening started getting in. And I really love listening to things, people talking. And then I started realizing I'm adding value to their stream. That actually pulled over to me towards consulting. When I can play different roles. So when I go and consult a particular organization to do the supply chain management, I become a supply chain. I do into financial services to help a bank, become a teller there, understand what a teller does. I go to investments, I go as a wealth advisor. So I actually can play multiple roles. That's an advantage which I get in consulting.
You brought out a very important thing. It's about passion. You said that is something you are passionate about. That is why you chose a certain path that you wanted to do.
Right.
And that brings to me to Santosh, that you have a lot of experience in coaching CEOs and working with CEOs. What is the perspective that CEO thinks, or what is the view they take of the consultants? How do they think about consultants?
Yeah. So, in my case, I also moved to this space after 27 years of my corporate experience and working very closely for last 15 years. I was CHRO in my instant and worked very closely with CEO on leadership building for the organization where I have worked. Now we have to understand the reason why a consultant is being hired by a business. And this is purely where you fill a skill or a knowledge gap, which from the inside you are not able to, bring in. So then you need someone to come from outside and bring that perspective to you. As far as CHRO role is concerned, it was a strategic role, but being a CHRO, you are also, involved in a lot of operational stuff. It was my internal calling, which was telling me that it's time for me to, pursue my career in coaching and consulting. And I started within SC Johnson when I was HR director of SC Johnson in somewhere in 2010. And for 6-7 years, I practiced it inside these skills after getting trained. And then I started enjoying it. And as I said, it was my internal calling, and I moved to coaching and consulting. And what I'm finding that I'm able to impact more to the organization and able to create values for CEOs, for CXOs, for the leadership team, and as well as for me also, because now I'm not within a limit of one organization, but I'm exposed to various different business scenarios, people, leaders. So it's a learning from both sides.
So you made a point that if there is a skill gap, the CEO looks to an external consultant to come and provide the help.
Yes.
Do you think there is an attitudinal behavioral change that we have to be brought into the CEO's mind saying, hey, I understand that there is a skill gap and I'm okay to take or bridge this gap by getting in consultants who could be very, very young, not having the proper experience to be able to understand my business, but they have a certain skill set which can be of use to me. Do you see that mind shift changing, or it's remained more or less same over the years?
See, the mindsets are definitely changing, but at the CEO level, they also need some credibility. They also need to see that you have the experience or the track record of contributing or impacting organizations through your creative problem solvings. So they may not be very open to this idea for a newcomer, but definitely the newcomer can bring a very fresh perspective, which the organization or the CEO or the CEO's team is at this point of time not having. For the last 1.5 years during the COVID period, a lot of assumptions and presumptions have actually shattered about work, workplaces, and workforce. Many new trends have come. For example, many CEOs in pre-COVID era were not open for work from home scenario. But today, after a year, they have changed their mind. And today, the hybrid workplaces are going to be the norm in the new world order. So things are changing and mindsets are changing. And today, in current scenario, it's 80% mindset and 20% is skill set. This is what I feel. So CEOs are also embracing change with the current in the current scenario.
So, Srinivas, let me ask you this question that, for example, these young students who are listening to us, if they go into a consulting profession and they're thrown into a client site, a very high profile client site, how will they be able to impress that they are actually adding value? What kind of skills do they really need to demonstrate in a client site?
You rightly asked, as a student, if I've been put onto, say, Johnson & Johnson or GE, and if I work closely with a CEO or some CMO or some technical guy, they have a challenge upon some task, some problem or some issues where my skills must be used to solve that problem. Otherwise, blindly going into a domain where I don't have expertise or knowledge doesn't make any sense. And even the recruitment will not happen like that. So as a student, I should know where I am good at. I'm good at business process re-engineering before COVID and after COVID. Before COVID, we were purely doing business process improvement. But after COVID, we were purely working on business process re-engineering. So until if as a student, I focus myself and I choose the domain, not blindly getting into whatever the opportunity available, because I may not be able to prove it. I choose the domain where I wanted to pitch in, and fortunately, if I get the assignment and if I work closely with the organization, I'll be definitely able to crack it. But the domain must be my own domain. I should not get into the domain where I'm not good at, because I'll not be able to prove it. So as a student, When I choose that's the reason I always bring in assessment prior. As a student, when you complete your MBA, have your ready assessment docket or document ready and know what are your good skill set is. What is your skill inventory? Upgrade your skills, position your skills towards your organization. Definitely, you will value add to the organization and they will definitely consider your point. This is my thought.
Let me relate this to a story. I was on an assignment, a very large global assignment with the top consulting company in the world. And in the consulting team, there were the partner engagement managers and there were analysts. And these analysts were from Ivy Leagues, very young fellows, fresh out of college, Ivy Leagues, and they were put on the project. So we were wondering, what value are these guys going to bring? They simply have this paper degree from Harvard and Princeton and Columbia. What do they know out of business? But very soon we realized that these guys had amazing analytical skills. And they were able to analyze data so thoroughly that I personally had to spend so much of time to be able to figure out what kind of analysis they have done. Then our antenna went up that, hey, this guy may not know about a business in that totality, but he's very good in one thing.
Correct.
Do you see that? I mean, can you give a perspective to a student that learned something really deep?
Yeah, that's what I said. When somebody pursue MBA or any higher studies, choose and dominate your domain. Identify your domain. This is where I feel like many of the people are missing out without choosing their own, like how Mr. Pawan was referring about the passionate area. So try and identify which is good at close to your heart, where your strength is. Do a proper assessment. In fact, even while completing 12th and 10th standard itself, if they do assessment, if they do an assessment after graduation, UG, it's fine. And when they get into the management education like this, do a proper assessment, identify your skills, hone your skills on that area, and there is a market. Because, like rightly you said, that people from different parts of the other universities, when they come and specialize in data analytics and big data, and they throw a lot of intelligence inputs to you, they're really curious to work with the clients, work with the team. So it's always that students who are listening here, identify your area, conquer area by adding required skills and input. Maybe you're doing a program or maybe working as an internship with any of the company. And that is where the top organization needs those type of resources.
That brings us to another question, which I'll direct to Pawan. That we talked about analytics, and some of the MBA students might be wondering that, hey, I'm not good at maths. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a CA. I have an English degree. I have a literature. I am a psychology degree or whatever, the fine arts. So is consulting also okay for them or be a misfit? What do you think, Pawan?
Before I go there, I just remembered one popular joke on consulting. I know people would know it, but I'll take the risk of repeating it. So there was one shepherd sitting with about a herd of sheep on a place, and then one guy who comes and says, without counting, I can tell you how many sheep you have. And if I tell it exactly right, you need to give me one sheep out of it. So this guy says, okay. And then this guy actually works out, takes out his laptop, puts an AI, ML, geo satellite things, figures out what is the size of a sheep, average size of a sheep, and tells, hey, you know what, you have 431 sheep left. That gets shocked and says, yes, take it. And he says, if I tell you what is your career, what you are, will you give me sheep back? He says, wow, that will be great. Tell me, you are a consultant. So he says, why? He says, see, exactly, you came and I never asked you help. You told me what I already know. And on top of it, I've lost my sheep. So only a consultant can do it. Now that's an infamous joke onto it. But I'll tell you, not all CEOs or not all organizations are as smart as that shepherd. Most of them wouldn't even know those 432 sheep, where they are doing, how they are doing, what they do. So on that sense, if somebody says the understanding the geo satellite or AI and ML makes it a great consultant, I don't think so. More important, as I again go back to the same thing, how do you put the hard facts which you learn. And there's one more saying again, I would say most of the consultants are hired by the people who actually want to know what they're actually doing. It's like saying, hey, like exactly Srinivasan is saying, to assessment. So assessment is kind of a consulting to me. So you please, can you tell me what I am good at, what I'm not good at, what's not going good, what's going good. So for a consultant, if you actually ask me, these soft skills are basically the skills which you told, be it psychology, sociology, all these things actually help more. Analytics can be learned as fast as an Udemy course of 6 months or 6 weeks. I don't think you can learn your articulative skills or your analytical skills, in the sense, how do you put forward a concise thing? So I'll tell you one, there's a difference between a 30-page document or a result, or telling one-liner, which I follow in my product management, is that if you can fit your goal of your objective on a ice cream, you eat that ice cream stick, right? You can put it on that, that's your capability. I would say a great consultant will give you a problem statement that's simple, but it makes sense. That actually will help. Be it analytical, be it sociological, be it psychological, I need that result at them.
That's a very good insight, and I want to give an example of that. Ram Charan, who's one of the world famous thinker from Harvard, he is known for simplifying things dramatically. So in an interview with CNN, or I think CNBC, he was talking about why does CEOs pay him a hell lot of money to come and tell him the same thing which he knows. And he says, you know what I do? When I go for a one-day event, or not even a one-day meeting with the CEO and his team, I see hundreds of slides. And he says, when I finish the meeting, I finish it with one slide saying, this is what is the problem statement. And that is the beauty of being able to distill through a wide maze of information, insights, etc., and be able to boil down into something which you can actually understand in a simple language, which not only you as a CEO can understand, but the organization throughout the layers can understand.
Okay, I agree.
So coming to Santosh, what do you see in that? That do you think that communication skill is one thing which this MBA they need to pick on really hard, because in the virtual space communication skills becomes even more important?
Yeah, so I see this skilling process into 3 buckets actually. The first bucket is basically knowledge, then is skills, and the third part is attitude. And my experience of last 30 years of recruitment in the campuses shows me that you can acquire knowledge, you can learn skills, but it's very difficult to develop your attitude till the time you are actually not working consciously on that. So if I take skills, to me, in today's campus, the campus of 2020 or 2021, some of the key skills which are very important from the point of view of students, if they are aspiring to be getting their dream jobs into best of the consulting businesses, I feel the soft skill such as connecting and collaborating with people, communication skill which you just pointed out, and when I'm saying communication skills, I'm also adding into it the listening skills, the empathy, the leading others in a virtual world. So these are the soft skills which are very prominent at this point of time, very sought after. Besides that, the digital skills, analytical skills, team skills, and along with analytical skills, you also now need to have intuitive skills. When I'm saying intuitive skills, during this COVID period, a lot of emphasis have happened on the non-cognitive listening, non-cognitive, skills. Because people are working, in a distant mode and not meeting physically. and they have to manage, a team. So these are the skills which today employers are looking for in a new, comer, that they can make a good impact. On the attitude side, I will say, because we have talked about knowledge, when I'm saying knowledge, very quickly, I will say, what are the technological advancement which has happened in your domain? What is the kind of your understanding of business, government policies, some key macro, micro, economic factors, digital transformation? These are some generic knowledge which the MBA students must have, and they can create a conversation out of it with the their colleagues when they will be working. But on the attitude side, and I still believe, it is 80% mindset and attitude which makes someone successful. It's like embracing change. Are you a change enthusiast or you are a change blocker? What is the kind of entrepreneurial mindset you are having? Are you into value creation? How resilient you are? Are you cultivating relationships? Are you building trust? So these are the things which makes you succeed when you will be working with a large number of your colleagues, where you will be working with engineers, you will be working with technologists, you will be working with data scientists, you will be working with other, finance people, HR, everyone. So to me, attitude and focus on attitude has to come, and this is what which creates a differentiator for a student, because skills and knowledge can be acquired and can be transferred, but attitude is something where you have to really work hard.
Santosh,
You must enjoy, and you must enjoy. It should come naturally to you.
You got a point that of attitude. When Warren Buffett was asked that you pick up the brightest and the best from the business schools for Berkshire Hathaway, how do you find the best and the brightest? And he said, I look for two things. One is I look for attitude, and the second, I look for integrity. Integrity, that is the word he used. Tell me, how do you relate this to the consulting world of integrity?
Yeah. So one of the attitude which should come is building trust and credibility. The amount, the advice or the solution or the scenario which you are presenting to your client has to come with thorough preparation. So you are putting your knowledge, you are putting your hard work into that. That gives the credibility. Now, the quality of your advice will, build your rapport with the organization, with the business team, with the leadership. So when you say integrity, I, to my interpretation of integrity is that you are walking the talk. What you are basically presenting various scenarios in a problem solving, you have done all the due diligence, gain confidence of the management and your client, you have built trust, and then you are advocating.
I will push this thought further with integrity. And I want to quote a convocation address given by Harvard professor Clayton Christensen to the graduating class of 2010. The students asked him that, Professor Clay, you have taught us about finance, about stocks and options and futures and all this techie stuff, but tell us something, how we measure our life. And he said that there are 3 yardsticks I will use to measure my life. And one of the yardsticks, he said, was, have I lived my life with integrity? He said that because his batchmate, Professor Clayton Christensen's batchmate, was Enron CEO Kenneth Lay. And we know the Enron fiasco. And he said that people, when they become wealthy, they aspire to be wealthier, and they lose sometimes track of what is integrity. So in that sense, I would like to ask Pawan, how do you would advise the students on integrity?
I didn't. I did it because I didn't want to disturb the things. So I would say it is very, very important attribute, Arup, because at the end of the day, you should be able to stand in front of the mirror and you should be able to answer yourself. Now that I call it as integrity. However, whatever you do in an organization, at the end of the day, if you stand in the mirror and you are able to smile at yourself, that is itself is enough for you. And if you are not at good at integrity, it will be easily shown. I was actually attending a NASCOM event yesterday, and Gary Keaston came into that, and he was actually talking about all the players like DVS Lakshman, Sachin Tendulkar, which he coached for the World Cup, right? And Dhoni. So he says, point is words are not important. The behavior which you actually show in each and every place, that actually shows your integrity. So I can actually tell I'm very good at integrity, but at the end of the day, my actions do not show it, or I do not act in that way. It will be easily seen. So at the end of the day, I would say, as quoted in all the scriptures, you need to be very clear and concise to yourself, and it will reflect automatically what you do.
The reason I want Srinivas's opinion on this, that we gradually see that this MSME sector, which forms a backbone of our economy, will need quite a lot of consulting help. They cannot afford the big consulting companies because of price, but they want help. But at the same time, they're worried that some of the so-called trade secrets or information that they have might get diluted to somebody else if a youngster come in who's job hopping because he's moving from one career to the other career, and does the information goes. And you can do all kind of NDAs and stuff, but there are ways to go around it. So Srinivasan, what is your perspective from an HR point of view? How do you assess that a candidate has integrity of character? Difficult, but how would you do that?
Same. Yes, it can be interesting.
Sorry. I bounce back and come back again on filtering criteria. One, whenever we hire a CEO or a head CFO level, for the integrity part, we again trust on psychometric. We use a tool for doing a judicious assessment with respect to that. And second, with respect to integrity while doing an interview, though we do a lot of cross-checking or background verification, through that sort also we used to get a real opinion that how good is this candidate performed there, or either when they move out, what could be reason and why they want to come in this organization. All this type of study and assessment we do to check the integrity. And nowadays, what we have started doing is, for a senior level position, we hire them, meaning give the appointment order or any confirmation, but they spend with us, along with me, to the client place for about a week, see the location, engage with the clients, or go through some of the reports, or be a part of the meeting, of sales meeting. And then finally, we could see and assess then how good he is able to, or he will be able to manage this position, or the or whatever the position we are going to offer. These are the areas now we are looking in. But as I told you, primarily, one is a quick tool for us is assessment. Second is doing the background talks about the integrity, and third about getting the real profile for the senior people, and they will be with us for maybe less than a week time. And during the engagement, we are able to assess them, because it is not like that by looking at the picture or of the person's signature or maybe engaging with them, we are not able to quickly do it. We need to do this engagement. That's how we assess the integrity about a person while doing as a HR friend.
Would that become very challenging for entry-level guys, like the guys who are listening to us right now? That how will the companies check that? Because they don't have a track record. So how will I figure out if the so-called bucket of integrity I can check and I say, I know that this guy has got high level of integrity. How will I figure it out?
No, I think Santosh has a
Santosh.
Yeah, so I'm just building from where Srinivasan has left. For a fresher, who is entering in the company, definitely there are some psychometric tests which can point out, certain behavioral aspects. But today, there are behavioral interviews competencies which have been developed into the recruiters, where when the interview happens, during the interview, they are being asked about the value system which they are having in their life. And that is why I said, even for the MBA students, when they prepare for their interview, they work very hard. And this has been my experience also in IIMs, IITs and all. They work very hard on their case studies, on their projects, their extracurricular activities, everything. But when you ask them that how have you experienced while doing this project, and there they have to actually bring out what they are, who they are actually, who they are beyond their CV, which is not written on the CV. What has been written that any interviewer can read, but they have to present themselves what they are, what is their value system, what is their belief system. And these are the indicators which provide a good indication about the integrity. They are also put to some situational interviews, some behavioral interviews, where their integrity is actually, assessed. But there is no full guarantee to it, because how the life will progress and things will progress, no one can, no one can predict that. Now, you gave a reference of Warren Buffett, and in another context, because now we are talking about it, somebody asked him that if you have to hire someone, what are the qualities which you will be looking? He said that there are three things: intelligence, knowledge, and integrity. And then the person asked, and suppose out of these three, which one thing you will be taking as, complete no from you? And he said, even if somebody is intelligent, even if somebody is knowledgeable, if he is not showing up on integrity, forget about him. So it is so important.
You brought up an important point here about showing your values through your resume, because as you said that the resumes can be anything, you can write anything in the resume, and these days you see institute giving out standard templates in which these guys have to write the resume. So yes. If a bunch comes from IIM Sirmaur and from IIM Amritsar or IIM Ahmedabad, I just look at one resume and I know all of them will be like this. All of them will have the same format. Start with education, It is a simple copy paste of a standard. So then I start questioning, if it is like that, I mean, what do I know about this guy? All I have to do is put a filter on the grades, put a filter on work cakes. I'll put some filters and simply churn it out. Job is easy. Because he's not been able to bring out who he is. That is what we want to know. So I feel that if the system in which these students are brought out and they're told, here is a template, and Google has spoiled these guys a lot. They go to Google and it becomes a template. So basically, when I see a student, it is Google number 1, Google student number 2, Google student number 3. It is all the same. So avoid the temptation of falling into a trap of trying to standardize stuff, because the uniqueness is killed. Now, we are not saying that you have to make fancy looking resumes and all that, but show your true self, show your passion, your values, and even a small short story about your value system, about what you learned from your parents, your grandparents, that will touch a chord. That is what we want to know from you. Does that ring a bell in you, Santosh?
Yes, exactly. So this is what I was trying to emphasize, that knowledge and skills, we know that, this is more or less everybody who is in the campus are going through the same classes, getting knowledge from the same source. But the attitude is one which will differentiate you from the crowd. Your attitude is going to be the differentiator for you. So whenever you are appearing for an interview, while knowledge and skills are expected from you, where you stand, differently from others is showcasing the value system which you are having, the belief system which you are having, what comes naturally to you. And this is what most of the, the top notch consulting firms like McKinsey or the BCG or the Bain and Company of the world, they focus on them. That let us understand that who are you. And before selecting today any newcomer in the company, let me also tell you, because it will be an insider story. I have been into HR function for long. Today, it's not only your resume on which you are judged. It's not only your interviews on which you are judged. Companies are having now artificial intelligence led, systems which will also track you on social media. So as a person, what are you doing on Twitter? What are you doing on Instagram? What are you doing on Facebook? What kind of issues, you are commenting? What kind of socio-economic problems, you are concerned with? You have commented, you have reflected, you have observed. So what are your activities? How aware are you of your social environment? It is all, judged, and that makes a complete personality.
That is what I would say is called consistency and focus. That if you are consistent and you show that consistency through your activities on social media, which is now seen by everybody, then as a recruiter, I'll say that he's not simply putting in a resume that I'm interested about so and so. He has demonstrated that through his actions over a period of time. So that brings consistency, trust, and faith in what he has written.
Yes. Yeah.
Pawan, you have been in IT, and in IT there are so many mass hiring happen. How does it happen in IT? I mean, there's IT consulting. We have Deloitte and other consulting who are very focused on IT. How does that world work?
Yeah, it works in similar way, because we go to premier institutes for all the consultants, which we need to push it to the key clients. For example, we call them a unicorn program. We go to the all the premier institutes for people who can actually be showcased to the clients. Now, when we go, we do have our own training program for the people who are recruiting. Like the people who are taking the interviews have undergone a training, how to recruit and what are the key skills to be looked at. So, for example, whenever I get a profile, you are right perfectly. Whenever I go to any IIMs or IITs, I get a one slider or one paper, and everybody has a similar one. So I actually don't even look at the profile. I actually start with asking them questions like what Srinivasan has asked or Santosh has asked, like, what do you do? What did you do last? So the best question I ask is like, okay, we need a good learner. Sir. Yes, sir, I'm very good learner. Okay, give me the last example. Last 1 week, what did you learn? Last 1 week, I have not learned. 1 month. 1 month, I have learned Java. No. What in life you have learned? I have learned COBOL. So that's the only learning which they look at it, and we clearly can understand what do they learn and what do they value upon. If they read a book, if they read an article, if they read something, then they should be able to learn out of it. That is what I look in a consultant. So I would say most of the organizations are gearing up for this, because they know when you need a consultant, you can actually ask right questions and also at the same time understand what you get from the answers. So we would see that what do you ask? Look, in a half an hour of interview, you might say, Pawan, it's just 30 minutes. What do you know? I would say 20 minutes I talk and probably see how he's listening or she's listening. And if he is going to ask the next 10 minutes the right questions, that's something which I look into in a consultant. So most of these companies ask, okay, what do you want to know? Do you have any questions? Most of the times, no, I am good. there you are in the exam. I can tell you. Prepare what you would like to ask the interviewer. And in that 20 minutes, which the interviewer has asked you certain questions, pick out the question. So you know that you are attentive what people are talking, and then you are on the spot improvising what you can actually do in that 10 minutes. You ask the right questions, you're on.
So if you were a candidate and we were to say that, okay, you have an interview tomorrow, how would you prepare yourself to go for the interview? How would you advise the students to prepare for the interview?
I would say I would like to revise at least 20% to 30% what I've done in my case studies or examples or my interns, what I've done, what I've learned. Important things, what I've learned and what I have added value on, first point, that is 30%. Another 30% to understand what's happening around the world. What are the key things happening around the world? Because I'm going as a management consultant. Most and actually every company hires a management consultant because of his or her wider perspective for a scenario. Now, does he or she know only this part of it? Then doesn't make, you don't need a consultant for it. You can take an expert. Can he or she can give, oh, this impacts has 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a wider impact. So that's what I would say before you prepare for an interview, prepare what's happening around the world. Even a small recent viral thing which is happening might also help you, because you can put that into the scenario which somebody is asking. They will love it. They'll say, hey, this person is actually very, very active in learning. That's something which people will look at and applying. Yesterday I learned, today I applied it for you. So that's good. So that's 30%. And another 30, what exactly Santosh has put it, what is a value system which you can actually showcase? Figure out an examples and try to put those examples. And I learned this when I was doing my MBA 21 years back. If you are strong at certain things, slowly get the interviewer into that level. All right. Somebody will not ask you, what is your value? Nobody will ask you like that. So you have to get the conversation going into where you can actually showcase that value which you are good at. Don't fake. I'm telling you, every interviewer is as smart as you are. So don't fake. We can easily find it out. So you just know that what value you are. Go through what Srinivasan said. Get it yourself assessed what you're good at, and prepare in a way where the interviewer will ask you that question related to that, and then give that value example. So that's what I would prepare. And 10%, I would say enjoy the interview process. You will love it. You'll get it.
Once somebody enters into a consulting career, Pawan, what do you think makes a successful consultant?
I don't know whether I should tell this, because there are very smart people around there who can go and patent it. There is something which I'm trying to patent, which is called inquisitive quotient. What is, you have a curiosity, but there is an inquisitive where you have to ask the right questions. And at the same time, do not insult. Like, you don't have to ask the questions where you have to go and showcase your knowledge. When I say, Arup, how do you do this? It's not that I know it, okay? I already know it. Don't tell me what it is, like that. But you have to be inquisitive to understand what is thing. A consultant has to be as inquisitive as important. So if I'm going to do that, we have to get a formula out to figure out what is the inquisitive quotient, like an IQ. That would be my patenting thing. So anybody of you can co-patent with me. You can figure out an algorithm to find out an inquisitive quotient, but that will improve a lot a consulting career. Second thing is, how do you give the results out? So you have to go and tell somebody that you're not doing good. At the same time, you have to tell it in a right way. So I'll take an example here. It might be a little long. So I play lawn tennis, and I see my friend who's very, very good at playing tennis. So there is one person who is a very consultant from the Big Four. I don't want to take the name. So he was sitting there, and this guy is watching, and then suddenly he says, "Hey, that person name is Ajay. Hey Ajay, you know what? You're stepping your fault line. You cannot serve it when you cross that line, right? A small line." And you know what? After that, Ajay lost all the matches because he was only concentrating on that line and not on the serve. So if you look at that, what is the way you have to tell that person? You might not have to go and exactly point out you're wrong there. You can actually give an alternative. Hey, you know what? You can start serving from behind, and then it might improve. You might have to be very clear on what is the output. You just can't kill somebody saying, your organization process is wrong, it doesn't help. It doesn't really help. You have to tell these are the things which you can improve, and probably you can solve these problems. These are the two things which I would say. One is to inquire and then deliver.
So if you look at two types of profession, one is a consulting and one is a non-consulting. In a non-consulting world, it's very easy to say, if you ask the question, how can I become more promotable? So the other guys or your boss will say, you have to learn this skill, you have to do this, and you can do more work, you can contribute more, and you can become more promotable. But in the consulting world, what makes a consultant promotable? Because the layers in consulting are less than as compared to the corporate. So the jumps are steep. So what makes a jump from an analyst to a consultant to an engagement manager to a partner? What is that?
I think it's very right timing. I was just preparing one document which my colleagues were asking. I had a business analyst center of practice, and business analysts are similar to consulting, has very small levels. You have a business analyst, senior business analyst, lead business analyst. I was just writing it. Is having a prefix to the business analyst a career growth? I don't think so. So what I have probably, I was just writing that idea. So thanks, you actually asked me in the right time. It's your proficiency of things very precise, as you exactly put it, and understand the overall big picture in a fast way. So the promotion, which for example, how I moved up in my career is he giving me the diverse angles of all the scenarios? Can he able to get the entire picture, or is only solving my problem? If for example, if I have to solve a problem of one particular event, if I just go and give the solution, I will be a simple consultant. My proficiency will only improve when I actually totally change the way it is being done. So the entire perspective, did I cover everything and how fast I can do, and how did I ask, that actually makes me a next level of proficiency. And the less time you take, the more growth you can see. So if I take 25 days to figure it out and take another 25 slides to figure it out, then I'm a normal amateur consultant. But if I take 25 minutes and do it in 2 slides or 2 minutes or 2 sentences, I'm the engagement manager. So that's what I would
Okay.
say.
So from your point of view, Pawan, it is basically the look at diverse angles to look at a scenario, being able to rapidly find a solution to it and bring it out concisely. Srinivasan, what advice would you give these guys to become promotable in consulting? How can they promote themselves really fast and get to a partner level and earn tons of money and play golf?
Actually a tough question if you look from the outside. A lot of networking, getting business, ensure the client is happy, and I think Pawan and everybody will accept with me. Okay. One is seriously on enhancing your skill set. There is no doubt about it. And Pawan said, instead of presenting 25 page, prepare and spend time and finally complete a 3 page. This is the level the person has to equip and develop himself. And number 3, you should know not only consulting, getting into the business of providing solution, he also should know how to do a networking and get business out. The most important thing is when a consultant completes a task or assignment like you and me, when we come out, we should know we are leaving a lead. That lead will come again in another 6 months' time or 8 months' time for some assignment. That is how we should do it so that we become a partner. You all know when a partner stage comes in, we share the revenue. So absolutely, he must be able to bring in. That skill is also required. So that's what I can quickly comment on that. Knowledge skills. Number 2, you should know how to present it and quickly complete it. And number 3, your networking skills or the business lead management or whatever the new jargons nowadays calling up. All this is required to quickly get promoted to a partner level. Another, the best way is enhance, honk, come out, have a tie-up, start a company. You become a single day partner.
Let's talk about this networking, which is interesting, because when I spoke to a partner in one of the MBBs and I said, how do you spend your time? He said, most of the time is spent in whining and dining. I said, what the hell? For that, you get $1 million bucks? He said, yeah, because I'm doing business development for the company. And he networks because he wants to get business. And he advised me that to move up very quickly in consulting career, you have to be a salesman yourself. Means you have to network, you have to find consulting opportunities and bring it to the firm. Even though you are not a salesman, you are supposed to spot, you have to sniff opportunities when you go to a client and say, I can add value here, I can add value here, and ingrain yourself in the client's organization so that they feel that, this fellow is getting more and more closer to us. It's difficult to then, I don't want to, assignment gone, no, stays long term. So tell me your views.
Okay. Number one dining works in outside country, not in India. Personal experience, that doesn't work in India. Okay. And in India, now we have to do a lot of divisions, like before GST, how's your business, before e-way bill, before demonetization, and after Corona, there are a lot of toll gates. So if somebody is doing a good business in dine and wine, all this period is gone. Now, unless until you have real capability, a real nut in your system and what you are going to deliver to your client, it cannot work out in dine and wine. Unless until you are really connected with your MPs and MLAs, the decision maker and the stakeholder. That doesn't work. So to the students who are listening, please don't have that idea. Number two, about the networking, since Mr. Arup started, I have the same thought. In fact, when we were coming out of the organization and starting new, how do we get a networking people? Getting into a cosmopolitan club or a presidency club or getting with them and joining along with them and doing it. No, that doesn't work. And I have not been, but that doesn't work also over a period of time. Get yourself qualified with a think tank, some of the group people. I belong to the Institute of Management Consultants of India. This is a management consulting forum. We also sponsor certified management consultants programs in India. So we all have an association. Similarly, there are a lot of association in everywhere, management association. Try and get yourself member, go and attend some program, be with them. You will have a lot of seniors looking for some juniors to do. Some of the program may be pro bono, but don't hesitate. Please pick up, enjoy them, be with the senior, learn all the skills. And that's how you will get up, because this comes as a reference. I had seen many of my seniors used to call me and say, hey, Srini, I have this assignment on customer service. Can you come and deliver? Because we have worked with them and they know that how sync we are in, so we can deliver it. So always have a network capacity, like getting along with some of the association. Enjoy yourself. Get into the dine and wine community, and that doesn't work in India. It works. I've been in Singapore. It works there. Malaysia. It works in Indonesia. But even other parts of the world, but to my extent, not travel all along, but doesn't work in India.
Pawan has got some point here.
Yeah, I would like to probably disagree with what Srini said, because someone dine, I don't know about wine, but dine definitely works. Okay. Why I'm saying networking, it works, because at the end of the day, we are all human beings. However, you might say you have become digitalized, we need people to talk. And I've learned this from one of my very senior, it's like my coach and mentor. He told that he calls up all his clients or people who are actually things just for 15 minutes. He keeps a calendar of to meet. He just says hi, and you call him, and you do not expect anything from them for the first 10 calls. Can you believe it? He does that. And now he just have to, if he has a business opportunity, he just gets calls like crazy, because they know that he doesn't call, like when he calls, he doesn't call with an expectation. So don't go to networking saying, I need a job. It will not work. So as Srini said, you don't go and wine and dine with somebody to an expectation that I'll need to get a job after I meet Arup, let's say. Can I just meet Arup, sir? I'll just meet Arup. Can I just get a job? No, I meet Arup 15 minutes or probably an hour every time when I go and meet him without an expectation. I keep improving my network like tens of people. I'm sure whenever you need your help, it will work. That's what networking, I feel, is. It will work a lot. I am doing that, and that's how it is. Yeah.
Santosh, please.
Yeah. So I think I would agree with Pawan on this, because as a consultant, no one knows how much you know. Fine. It is only when you are connecting with people and you are increasing your, circle of influence by meeting diverse people, diverse, in different businesses, and collaborating with them. So every time when you are meeting, you are not going to ask for a job, or you are not exploring an assignment with that person. I myself went through a business development, training by my managing partner in UK, and he said that, coffee to cash, this travel, coffee to cash, can be too long. Fine. It may take 2 years. You can have coffee, every month, but never ask for a job. Just try to understand that what is the business scenario right now going on. Ask about them. Consulting is not about you. Consulting is about them. So this was the clear, message which he had given. Another thing I wanted to point out here, and because we are our audience is all MBA students, I wanted to clear some myths about career. On many forums, in many institutes, I talked about it. So generally, anybody who is in the campus, what do they think about career? A career is not a job or a role. Fine. A career is not holding a desired, position or a title. Even in the companies also, sometimes we chase, some position or some title. It's not even desired entitlement, or it is not even a status which I'm enjoying in the organization. Or even a career is not a remuneration which I deserve. To me, if these are not the career, then what is career? To me, the career is the competence. What Pawan also, mentioned some time back. It is your competence. What are you every day gaining in terms of learning? How are you skilling and reskilling yourself and keeping yourself update? How much pain you are taking to move out from your comfort zone? So these are the things which are actually creating your career. The second is, as a consultant, whatever assignments you are taking, you have to show impact of your work. If you are an impact person, your contribution will be felt by the organization. Even in our cricket teams also, there are 11 players, but in every team there are 2-3 impact players. The day when they perform, the team will definitely going to win, no matter how is the circumstances. The third is your entrepreneurial mindset. An entrepreneurial mindset is nothing but creating value. So with your knowledge, with your competence, you are creating value for your client. And if you are able to do that, naturally you will be, progressing in your profession. So your work ethics, where integrity, your credibility, all these things come. How do you deliver? What is your process to deliver? That is one where you get a lot of, credibility. And at the end, the respect. Are you respected for your competence, or are you respected for your position or authority which you are having as a partner or as a principal consultant? If you are respected as a subject matter expert, if you are respected as someone whose advice is very important, that brings credibility to you as a consultant, in your profession?
You brought up some very, very interesting point, and each of them will land into 3 tracks of discussion, but I'll pick a few of them which I think is very important. One is you said respect, and I would like to put it in a very simple word, that respect outside and pride inside. It means that as a consultant, you should be able to get the respect of the outside world, not because of your position, but because of your intellect, because of your mind. So respect outside and pride inside, that you should feel proud, whatever level you are, whether a junior or a senior, you should feel proud about the contribution or the impact you're able to make to the organization. Coming back to Santosh's other point, which I find was very intriguing, is that definition of career. How will you measure your career? Is it your company? Is it the job title? Is it the money? How will you measure career? What is it? And I'll go back again to Professor Christensen, what he told the Harvard graduating class of 2010. He said, there are 3 yardsticks in which I measure my life. The third one, he's talked about integrity, which you already covered. The first 2, he said, that have I been happy in my career? Happy. He used the word happy. It's a very, very deep, it's a simple word, but there's a deep meaning into it. Will I be happy in my career? Have I been happy in my career? That's a yardstick which Professor Christensen used to define his life. And the second thing he said, has my family been an enduring source of happiness throughout my life? And that is what I want to delve now, because in the consulting world, we are told you have to work 100 hours a week. So what is the role of a life-work balance? So we start with Srinivasan.
No, I'm again a bit thoughts about your point on happiness and family. I will certainly measure a career with respect to happiness. And how happy is again based on type of yardstick which I measure. I should not compare myself with some of the other consultants and measure myself and feel that no, and get unhappy because of we didn't have that, we didn't go there, we didn't reach that particular goal. Whatever the domain I play, whatever the focus area I concentrate, and if I'm happy with the job what I'm deliver, according to me, that's a best way to measure myself and about my career. Number 2, this must be able to help my family and my social status to keep and moving. Just because of I'm passionate about something and I'm happy about something, if I'm not able to do the justice to my family which I hold, then I am losing in that family area. So second point is about a type of not just stick only with the passion and move behind something else which is not really a passion and which does not satisfy my family. In that case, if I need to compromise some of the area and do this, I don't feel it's wrong. You may compromise on certain area, take care of your family, because the audience who are all we are addressing, they are all students. They should not just push themselves just because of passion and go somewhere and land it there. They also should develop the knowledge and they should be happy about what they are delivering. At the same time, they should ensure that family is also taken care, thereby taken care meaning exactly on the financial sides I'm talking about. Take care of the family. And third, with respect to, I don't think the third, maybe this 2 is enough. Are you happy with about what you're doing it? And number 2, if you're able to take care of your family and society, I think this 2 is enough how to position yourself and think about a career, according to me.
Pawan, what do you think about this work-life balance, especially related to consulting profession?
Well, whenever I hear this word work-life balance, I go through a great experience. You all can see my LinkedIn, what are my previous companies, so I don't want to take names. So founder of that company, very big company in IT, he was attending a big town hall, about 2,000 people were there. And major question he got when everybody started asking is, how do we manage work-life balance? I'm talking about normal IT people, forget about consulting for a moment. You know what he said? I have only one principle on work-life balance. Work for 50 years and you have life after that. So I'm not saying that's how it should be, but I feel, be it any job, be it consulting or be it technology or be it, I would respect every job, even for a lorry driver. Look at the work-life balance from a way he moves from one place to another place. Does he have life if he has only work of driving? I would say there would be stress, and I'm sure there would be a time where you are not having any project with you and you're just on the bench and you're not doing anything. I would say if you start enjoying both the phases, because you will have both the phases, that's when you will have work-life balance. Do not try to balance it because it's not there. I can tell you. Let's not go and figure out something which and go and cry about something which is not there. There's nothing called perfect balance. Somebody will not say, okay, 8 o'clock in the morning I log in, 5 o'clock I get out. I don't want to do after that. It doesn't work out that way. Be it in any career. Take any career. It will not work out that way. So think about it, which is something which you know that, okay, there are times which you'll go through stress. There are some times which you'll have free time. Enjoy both of them. Start looking at both of them, and I'm sure you'll have the balance somewhere in between, somewhere 60-40. I don't know which 60 you want to be.
That leads to the point of time and stress management, because we all have limited time. We have priorities, work, family, personal interest. There's so many things happening, competing. So what would your advice be, Santosh, on the time management and the stress management?
Yeah. So from my perspective, you have to be clear about your priorities in life, because time management you have to manage from that perspective. We all know about career, but what is the purpose of our career? Somewhere, when we start our career, we are chasing something, we are chasing success. When we reach to, we create some yardstick for us that 5 years down the line, even internal interviews which are happening for promotion and all, there also bosses ask, okay, where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? Fine. So this 5 years frame was getting shifted every time, and then 5 years, then 10 years, then 15 years, and then you are hit with a mid-career crisis where you feel that I have ticked all the boxes as far as success is concerned, but I'm not happy. And this is what, for last 15 years, this is what I was chasing. So then you start thinking, what will make me happy? Fine. And then you start searching for the purpose. Why am I putting 14 hours of work or 16 hours of work? What is the purpose of it? The day we get the purpose of our career as part of purpose of our life, after that, passion will flow automatically. Your priorities are set in life, and then you will manage your time accordingly. I have seen many people who are workaholic, and at one hand they are very successful in their organization, but on the other hand they have very dissatisfied life. And during my coaching programs, they have opened up that their outside world feel that I am a very successful person, but from inside I can tell you that I am a failure on many other fronts. So overall, I'm not a successful person, a happy person from my own, assessment. So how can we prioritize things? And that is where we give them a little bit of coaching input and all. So to me, it's very important to know what is the purpose of your career or purpose of your life. What do you, if you want to become a consultant, why do you want to become a consultant? So there can be two approaches. One is the entitlement approach. So anything which I see in life, I ask question to myself, what is there for me? What will I get? What will happen to me? So everything about me, this is entitlement. There could be another approach that why I need it, why I will do it, why I will invest in it, why I should put so much of time in it. So I prefer this 3-letter word why. If we start anything with why, this helps us to clarify our purpose, which will drive passion in us and which will unleash our potential to do that more, even more. And that is how we can manage our time and stress. Because if we are chasing success, we will never be, fulfilled. But if we are chasing why, we will know our purpose, we will get the passion, and we will be self-motivated from inside. We will be having a fulfilled, career or life, whatever.
This leads me to a question to Pawan, that we have so much expectation from these guys that you should do this, you should do that, but let us look at their characteristics, the Gen Z characteristic. These guys have a short attention span. They are tech savvy. They like an informal and stimulating environment. They prefer a lot of time YouTube learning, and they're multitasking most of the time. Even in class, they're multitasking. I can figure that out. So how can we create a culture in a consulting firm that these people can survive, thrive, and not look at another option which helps us in the profession, that we have employees or we have consultants who can stay with us for a long time? What kind of atmosphere can we create for them?
So I would say these people I really like. I work with, I go to a lot of colleges, and the only point I go to them is because of the passion and energy they come with. And as you rightly said, Gen Z people would not like to take instructions. Somewhere I have observed it, I might be wrong. If I tell this is how you should do, they say, let me learn that way. My kid is a teen, she's probably Zen, whatever it is now. But most
Alpha.
of these people, Gen Z people would like to learn it themselves. So more of DIY people, do it yourself people. So what we do in our organization is we give them a lot of opportunities to do themselves, let them fail. And only thing which we give them is a comfort that you can fail as long as you learn. So we give that comfort to them. And the more you give the learnings back to the company, which is to be a project, you're ready to fail again. Not in the same time, but not in the same space. But yeah, you have the opportunity. So we go and make them experiment with a lot of things. So we do something called innovations, where we actually give them opportunity to have their own innovation apart from what they're working. So that gives them an opportunity that, hey, I can actually put my energy also, which I'm like bursting of energy and passion. I would like to do this. And yeah, if it fails, it's okay. Pawan is going to take care of it. He said that it's okay if it fails, but not that intentional. But I'm going to tell, okay, this is where I've learned. If I tell it, then he's okay. That's what we give them opportunity, which makes people stick around with us, and more an environment where they're free. And I really like the word you said, respect from outside and pride from inside. So we try to inculcate two things. One, we always try people, we keep on telling people, and is that I converted that into a kind of thing. When you say respect, which is outside, I converted that into humility. That's something which is really important. So our leaders, when we showcase to the people, we have our utmost characteristic which we have showcased is humility. Now that is something which has to come through a character. It cannot be like learned. I can't go to YouTube and learn humility. Impossible. And that is where, when you start showing those behaviors, when you see the leaders being humble, that's where you actually learn. And the kids are actually very, very happy to work with us. That's what I'm not saying about myself. I'm not that humble, I can tell you. I'm trying to increase my rate, but I'm not. So that's where people actually, our leaders are, my leaders, all my leaders are so much of humility. They talk to associate software engineer who's probably just out of engineering college, and they speak to them as if a friend. That's where people actually get that capability. And second, when you said pride, that's what we call it, convert that into gratitude of what you have. Now that is something we keep on observing the behavior of the people. We call them members. We don't call them employees or resources, the worst word which I ever heard. We call them members. So we give them a gratitude feeling that, okay, I'm very grateful to be in this company. And again, everybody of any of the leaders or managers showcase that so that people actually are happy and respected in the company. That's where these Gen Z people would love to be in. They would like to be not monitored, not to be told, but they know that there is a cushion which can actually they can work it
We have given a lot of gyan to the students. So
with.
maybe it is time that we give some gyan to the professors also. So from all three of you, please tell us, what shall we tell the professors that how can they make the college more ready for us so that the transition from college to our corporate world is smoother? What would you suggest? Feel free, anyone.
I wanted to say quickly, one thing is I see there is no behavioral kind of science which is told yet. I might be wrong. But if you look at psychology is actually a great stuff to look at to understand anything which you work in organization, because at the end of the day you're working with human. How much ever AI and ML is going to take. And it's common sense, right? It's the only thing difference between new AI and us is common sense, which we have, which they don't have. So if somebody can actually have a course which is more on psychology and common sense and behavior, I think that is a great benefit to the organization, because I see it's a great thing which will help all the members.
How about you, Santosh?
Yeah, I feel there are two things. So one is I said that some focus has to come on the mindset training. A lot of things have to change. So for example, it's okay, to fail. Fine. We always give extra credit to success, but how to face failure, and that has larger importance in terms of life also, that how are we facing failure. So institutes should focus on attitude building also, how to get out of comfort zone. Marshall Goldsmith, world's the #1 executive coach, he says that there is no change in comfort zone, there is no comfort in change zone. So this is a continuous process. Success and failure both are transient, both are temporary. What is common in them is learning, because from both you are learning. So some focus on attitude building, and second is skills, which is coming up very fast, and it is nothing new. It has been used in many leading organizations in various functions, but it has got a extra importance. And recently Coursera, they have published one essential skill playbook on business skills, and the top 3 skills which they have identified, this is one of them, and this is called design thinking. So what Pawan was said, create an environment and nurture an environment where failure is absolutely fine, experimentation is absolutely fine. So it's a 5-stage process, and the last process is iterate, where you are allowed to fail and you are allowed to improve. And design thinking is such where you are not designing anything from the process or delivery mindset. This is what we do when we design systems and processes in the company. Our mindset, our orientation is the process and delivery. But in design thinking, you put yourself into other shoes, and the whole thing gets designed from the user's perspective. So you see from the consumer's lens every aspect of it. So sometimes even your own employee, if you are, let's say, I will take, my function in HR. If you are in HR and if you are creating a policy, then your own employee are your internal customers. Then you have to put yourself into their shoes and then design the whole process. You start thinking, designing the whole process from their, perspective. Rather than being an HR, you design it as a process and delivery to them. So this is called design thinking, and I think design thinking is getting very popular in organizations. Leading organizations like Google, Cisco, P&G, all are using it in their marketing, brand management, aspects. But I will really, I would be happy. Recently, I have written one article also on this, that how can design thinking be utilized in HR function, find the stages. So I feel that would be of immense use to the students, because they would be able to ask the right questions, and also able to arrive at the right problem, which is the hallmark of a good consultant.
I think the students will be very happy if we can pass a message to the professors that get rid of grades. And that brings the point that in the movie Spider-Man, he said, with great power comes great responsibility. And Obama used the same word when he was addressing the graduate students in the US. And he said that you generation, Gen Z, will have to grow up much faster because of this pandemic, because people who are in powers of responsibility have no idea what things are going to happen. So things are going to be thrust on you with a greater amount of speed than what we witnessed in our lifetime. And when you are given responsibility, then you have to execute your responsibility with the right, I would say, emotional integrity or emotional maturity. So that is what you have to learn. So when you grow up, you will be exposed to a lot of responsibilities at a very early age, and you have to take on that responsibility, and that is where integrity is becoming so important. So we're getting close to our session. Before we summarize, I'm going to ask one last question, which probably is in all of your mind, that will consulting survive or thrive post-COVID? What do you think? Srinivas?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, hands down, yes. How about you, Pawan?
I would say more.
More.
You added one more scenario post like pandemic you never expected. So now you'll add that use case also in your bucket. What if it happens? So definitely.
Any other opinion?
Yeah. So in my opinion also, yes, it will thrive. Consulting will thrive. And why? I feel that today, the three big challenges for industry at this point is to bounce back and push reset button for revival of business. Because in this pandemic, a lot of things have transformed, a lot of things have changed. Consumers' preferences have changed, which has led to business model redesigning the whole organization. Then to be future ready in skills and capabilities, all organizations need to do this. And the third is to stay relevant in the new world order. So the post-COVID, the world order will be very different. It is a completely transformed world. And that is where consultants will be required, because as I said, the consultants have to be 6 months ahead of what organization is thinking today. That brings the value to them. So they have to be always 6 months, a year ahead of the knowledge base what organization is having today. So they have to anticipate, observe, reflect, and come out with their solutions to support organizations so that they can reset button for business revival. So yes, consulting will thrive even after, COVID era.
Excellent. So I think we have had a lot of discussions. I'll take this opportunity. So, go ahead.
I wanted to respond to the previous question, like what the single line we want to pass to the professors. Kept my response ready, but we shifted. Okay. One thing is, they are based in Himachal or Sirmaur. In and around, let they first of all pick up the real-time problems with the industries. I went there last year, previous to that. Let they solve the problem, ask the professors to get in touch with the community. Wherever the institution, say around 30 kilometer, 20 kilometer, they can cover up, or maybe even 10 kilometer, they can have a geographical area proximity and cover up, nurture. Only one thing which I wanted to communicate to the professor. It may be business, community health, or doing something else, developing the area, or what not they could do. Please try and do it so that they make the student to handle live projects.
Very good. So we will share one slide, which is one slide, guys. So don't worry, not too many slides. One slide to summarize the takeaways that you would like you to kind of absorb from today's session. Give me a moment. Yes. So here what we have said is that how will you measure a successful career and life? And we asked a lot of questions about that. If you look at the bar graph on the left, that is how you are spending your time today or last year, 2020. There are three colors: hard skills, your family time, and your friends. But as you look forward, 2021 plus, you will need to improve your hard skills to some extent. So I put a plus, some improvement in your hard skills. You have to balance your family. Don't neglect your family, equal to. We tend to sometimes ignore family and think work is everything, and we shortchange it. And later in life, you will regret probably that you should have spent more time. So make sure you give quality time to your family. Friends, you will have a lot of new friends coming up, but you'll have a lot of old friends also. But over a period of time, you'll realize the people who are your true friends and who are simply your acquaintances. So cultivate true friends and build new ones as you progress in your career. The soft skills. And this is one of the areas that the panelists discussed a lot, that you have to increase it quite a little bit. And those are communication, networking, get a mentor, get a coach, could be your boss, could be your friend's father, could be anybody, but get a mentor as your career coach. Helps a lot. You are at a point in time in your career where you have nothing to lose. So have a risk-taking attitude, because you can take a risk early in your career. So explore the unknown, but don't delve too much, but find your right passion early. Don't spend 10 years, 15 years to find your passion, and then you will realize it's too late. So when you have the risk appetite, then you explore the unknown, but quickly hone down what you want to really do, what will make you happy in life, and that is what will carry you forward in life. And stay focused and consistent. As we gave an example, that don't do all things and say that you are a jack of all trades. You can try, keep your focus on. And lastly, guys, enjoy whatever you're doing. God has given us a wonderful life, a wonderful nature, wonderful family, wonderful friends. Have fun, enjoy whatever you do. With that, I would conclude our discussions. On behalf of the panelists, I would like to thank all of you for listening to us patiently, and to our panelists who put in so much of effort in talking to you guys. Now I'll open it up for questions. Please feel free to ask anybody any questions you wish to.
So sir, I wanted to. Okay.
Priyanka, should I go?
Go. Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for your helpful insights. So, sir, I have this question. This question actually was asked in another panel, And your discussion, we got to know many helpful things, helpful insights that we could actually use in our career progression. So it actually gave a different angle to that, to the answer we got from the another panel. So I wanted to know this panel's insights or views on this question, that how as students in an institute we bridge the gap between our academics and industry. Or like I just want to ask, what is things that we should do? What activities should we indulge ourselves in? How should we set that mindset that we can get into a consulting industry or rise in it?
Any one of the panelists would like to take it up?
Yeah. Building a mindset is very important. This panel also discussed about it. What I would suggest you people to get more into projects, and even while you are studying in your college, and you are going to be, as you are aspiring to get into the best of the employment opportunities, start preparing now for that by building your knowledge, but at the same time getting live experience of doing projects in company. Many times some projects now we can work online also, so explore the possibility that you can work in different projects in different companies during your 2 years stay in the organization. Now, what will this do? This will be teaching you how to work in a team, how to cultivate relationships, how to collaborate, how to connect with people, how to learn different perspective, which may not be your perspective, fine, which may not be matching with your own views, but how to accommodate diverse views, how to listen. When we are in campus, we think that communication is only about speaking, but how to develop listening skills. The more you listen, the more you reflect, not react, but reflect. The more you observe. These are the abilities which you need to, improve upon by doing the live projects in the organizations, or as Srinivasan also suggested, that in your locality, in your area, if you can take up some projects, maybe CSR projects, or involve yourself into some other socio-economic projects, and get along with people. So this is one thing which I thought to answer.
I just like to add a few things. Thanks, Sampreshan. I think you aptly put it. But I'll just give you where it comes to. What you are actually learning on probably online sessions or on PTs is kind of a simulation flight, which you actually learn as a pilot. It all hits you when you hit the first runway. So point is, how do you exactly simulate the most possible things which can happen, what all can fail? If you can get to that level, that will actually help you to start flying properly. I would like to tell you to watch this movie called Sully. I don't know whether you watched it already. It's about story where an entire airplane was landed on Hudson River in New York. So he gets onto why he landed this, because in a simulator, when they actually give the entire scenario, he has enough fuel and time to land it on a airport nearby, but he landed it on water. Why? What? You can actually watch it. If you want to spoil, at the end of the session, I can spoil by telling what actually happened. You can watch it, or I can do it anyway. But that's very thing you can actually know what is simulation, what you're doing in MBA, and what actually hit when you actually go hit on the road. So
I would say that I would go a step further is that you will see a lot of opportunities being given for projects. I would say, ask the question, who's going to be my project mentor? Because the time you invest, you should not ideally spend time in doing so base level work, which is probably not adding too much value to it. So make sure you get the right mentor to help you out so that it's a mutual learning and you enjoy the journey of that short stint you do in the company as a project.
Any other questions?
So, sir, I had one question. It is Mr. Arup and Mr. Santosh. Since you guys found your own company, so I too really want to be an entrepreneur one day. So I wanted to ask this question: that how was your journey from being a consultant to being an entrepreneur? Like, when did you realize that there is a gap in the industry and you can fill it?
The transition from corporate to a consulting, it's kind of tough because you are exposed to a totally different world, but the opportunities are amazing because in a corporate you are affecting the life of the people in the organization and of course your customers. But as I said, that if you want to believe in what is it that you want to measure your life with, the way I want to measure my life with, the yardstick I want to use is how much difference I've been able to make on people's life. And I felt myself that if I were to work as a consultant and affect the growth and profit of a better of all the knowledge, wisdom I have got throughout my life to be able to, and that was the trigger to move from a corporate, which is much, much wider in scope. To say something?
Oh, this question was also posed to me?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, fine. So, in my case, as I said, that after 27 years of my corporate life, and in which last 15 years were as CHRO, I moved to consulting. So this was purely internal calling. And how this has happened is that from quite some time, I started enjoying, the success of others rather than my own success. Because nothing has changed for me in 15 years when I was CHRO. But what was giving me immense pleasure was to see that people to whom I mentor and my direct reports, they start flourishing. And somewhere they given a little credit to me also, that sir, this is your mentorship, and they branched out to the different countries within my own organization, and they are doing very well. So that time I realized that maybe, my coaching skills, my consulting skills is more impactful in building or unleashing the potential of people. And then I asked a question from myself that how long I will be CHRO like this, and how can I impact positively and unleashing the potential of people even more and not confined within this organization. So I got the mission of my life on those reflections, and the mission of my life is to create value for self and for others to whom I am impacting and those who are impacting me. And this value creation has to be done every day, every moment. So that was the time when through internal calling, I decided to move out from corporate and start my journey as an entrepreneur, as an executive coach, and as a consultant. And I'm enjoying it because I still feel that there is no right time of doing anything. Everyone is evolving and everyone is in their own time zone. So I am in my own time zone, and I am also evolving like many others, Yes, Priyanka.
Any other
Thank you
question,
so much,
Priyanka?
sir.
The guys are very silent.
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Yeah.
So my question is to Mr. Arup Majumdar. As all of the panelists have pointed out very rightly that once you specialize in a particular field, once you be a domain leader in that particular field, you can especially look through the layers of the problems across the organizations. So my question is, before I dive into being a consultant, choosing my career in consultancy, should I path of a specialized person working across different organizations, or should I just dive right in and then develop my expertise there?
In my opinion, it's not necessary for you to dive and become a specialist before you decide to become a consultant. There are two qualities which is looked for in a consultant. One is a high IQ and a high EQ. We talked about that. Now let's talk about IQ a little bit. All we want to see is that do you have a structured analytical mind to approach any problem, or do you simply take some standard models like a framework and you apply a framework to any problem which comes in your way, or you're able to pick and choose different pieces of different framework, add your own framework, your perspective, and then attack to find a problem. If you can demonstrate that, capability, whether you are a fresher or you are somebody with 5 years or 10 years of experience, really does not matter. The mind is the most important thing that we check for in consulting. So we don't worry too much about your expertise in one area, but we would like to, for you to, as you develop, to dive into something and find something creative to do so that you can say, I'm a specialist in here, but I'm also aware of many other parts of the business. I may not be a specialist because you work in a team in consulting. So there are other consultants who bring in that expertise, but you have the knowledge to be able to pick and choose the right resources for your client engagement.
Yes, sir. That really helped me figure out the way.
So since we are short of time, so I think we should move towards concluding the session. So on behalf of Consulere, I would really like to thank all four of you for coming to Sampreshan, for your lessons on integrity, on being unique, and especially on how we can get promoted easily and learn golf. So thank you a lot, everybody. And I would invite Darshak to say a few words and close the session now.
Thank you, Priyanka, for that. So to begin with, to propagate in new directions, one has to move into a direction which is not known to any, the direction of self. With this, we come to the conclusion of Sampreshan. But before we close, we need to thank all the stakeholders who made this event possible. First of all, I'd like to thank my esteemed guests for making Sampreshan bigger and better by their presence and also guiding us in all manners to get a successful career in consulting. And firstly, I'd like to thank our beloved director, ma'am, Professor Neeli Gohamitra, who was unfortunately unable to join due to her prior commitments, for trusting us and guiding us to add a new milestone in IIM Sirmaur's journey. Secondly, I'd like to thank all my faculty members for their constant support and guidance to help us learn in new dimensions. I'll also like to wholeheartedly thank the Student Affairs Chair, the PGP office, and the admin department for their never-ending support. And I'll personally like to thank Professor Sashikant Srivastav and our IT head, Mr. Rizwan sir, for their support in conducting the smooth flow of events. I'd also like to thank the Student Council, the Media Cell, and all the other clubs and committees who have helped us bringing this event to reality. Lastly, I'd like to thank all my fellow teammates and all the students of IIM Sirmaur for their enthusiastic participation and dedication for making all the events more lively and interactive. This is Team Sampreshan 2021, signing off. See you all soon in a new dimension of Sampreshan. Good luck, good day. Have a great weekend ahead. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
It was nice having you here.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you, panelists. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was
Thanks.
great. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.